Here's more wrestling news for August 5th, 2021. And your headlines for this afternoon include Tessa Blanchard comments on the impact she's had on her last name. WWE 2021 half-year Bumpy Award winners revealed. Ric Flair working on major projects after WWE release. Kenny Omega's next challenger for the AEW Championship revealed. Released WWE wrestler to make NWA debut in the EmPowerrr main event. Dixie Carter appears on ROH Women's Division Wednesday. Released WWE wrestler needs $10 million to wrestle Kenny Omega in AEW. John Cena comments on wrestling past WWE SummerSlam. WWE Hall of Famer was deemed too controversial to appear on Steve Austin's Broken Skull sessions. Reason for WWE breaking up the IIconics is revealed. Nick Gage reveals what Tony Khan told him after Deathmatch on AEW Dynamite, and more. We're starting today with Tessa Blanchard, who made history when she became Impact's first female world champion. Blanchard hasn't wrestled in almost a year, but remains active in the ring as she's training others in the art of pro wrestling. This week, a fan tweeted their praise for Blanchard, saying she's earned her own spot in the ring, despite being the daughter of the legendary Tully Blanchard, and added that she hasn't ridden the coattails of her famous name and father. This got a response from Blanchard, who said she's proud of her last name, but the Blanchard name doesn't drive the miles or take the bumps. Despite her lengthy hiatus from wrestling and claims of racist language and bullying, Tessa remains one of the hottest free agents right now, and no matter where she goes, the former Impact World Champion will continue doing the work rather than ride the coattails of being a Blanchard. Over to WWE, and this week, The Bump held their second annual Bumpy Awards, documenting the best moments from the first half of 2021. These awards were determined via a fan vote, which explains why fan favorites The Mysterios won Tag Team of the Half Year. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole had a tense moment when their rivalry won Feud of the Half Year, whilst Bad Bunny's incredible WrestleMania performance took home Moment of the Half Year. Speaking of Mania, the Sasha Banks vs. Bianca Belair match from Night 1 took home Match of the Half Year, and in Bianca's acceptance speech said that she'll offer the boss a rematch at any time. In the biggest award, Universal Champion Roman Reigns won Superstar of the Half Year and offered his award to John Cena, saying he needs it more. The first half of 2021 was a strange time for WWE to say the least, but despite the Thunderdome, releases, and WrestleMania weather delays, some superstars shone brighter than the rest. Now this week, WWE parted ways with Ric Flair after the Nature Boy requested his release from the contract he signed last year. Before his request, Flair contacted Vince McMahon to criticize both his and Charlotte's booking, and we now know what's next for the 16-time world champion. Speaking to People in his first post-release interview, Flair discussed his departure and what he has in the works, saying, "It was a mutually agreed-upon decision, and I will be moving forward to pursue other exciting endeavors, such as my own line of wine, my own network, as well as comic books. I had to make this decision personally for my business and my brand." As one of the biggest names in wrestling, we're sure that any new project by the dirtiest player in the game will receive a ton of exposure, and time will tell which of his many plans Flair goes for first. From one world champion to another, as it's been nearly a decade since Christian Cage last held a world title, but he could soon break that drought. During a backstage interview at last night's AEW Homecoming, Tony Schiavone announced that Christian Cage will be AEW World Champion Kenny Omega's next challenger after his victory over The Blade earlier in the show. It wasn't revealed when that match will take place, but it's expected to be at All Out on September 5th, though it could be as soon as the pilot episode of AEW Rampage on August 13th or the first dance special the week after. Debuting in AEW earlier this year, Cage promised to outwork everyone, and he could certainly do just that by becoming the fourth AEW World Champion later this year. NWA news next, as the company's all-women's NWA EmPowerrr show is coming together, and this week, it was revealed that Chelsea Green will make an appearance. Not only will she appear, but it's been confirmed that she'll be in the main event of the show, as announced by Mickie James. The NWA EmPowerrr main event will be the finals of the new annual 10-woman tournament, in which the winner will receive a trophy and challenge NWA Women's World Champion Camille the next night at their 73rd anniversary show. As James announced that Green will main event the show, it seems she'll wrestle the last tournament participant in the finals, as the hot mess has come a long way since her WWE release earlier this year. Over to Ring of Honor now, as this week's show opened up with a familiar face from Impact Wrestling history. Opening the show, Dixie Carter started Women's Division Wednesday by saying it's great to see women's wrestling thrive and wished the ladies competing in the ROH Women's Title Tournament good luck before the show began. Dixie served as TNA/Impact president from 2003 to 2016 and began appearing on screen in 2009, eventually becoming a heel authority main character on the show. Interestingly, she didn't make reference to her kayfabe nephew EC3, who's also in ROH, as Dixie's focus was solely on the women of Ring of Honor during this week's Women's Division Wednesday special. As a former WWE and Impact World Champion as well as Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle has done it all in wrestling except compete in AEW. Since his farewell match at WrestleMania 35, Angle has stayed away from the ring and said specifically he doesn't plan on joining the All Elite company. It now appears that Kurt's attitude has softened as well. Speaking on his podcast, the Olympian admitted he's open to wrestling Kenny Omega for the not-so-small sum of $10 million. Saying he's willing to get his ass kicked for $10 million, Kurt was clearly joking, but we know that Tony Khan has the revenue to afford Kurt's 8-digit request. Ultimately, it'd be Angle's decision if Khan could match the $10 million figure, and although Kurt seems very happy in retirement, that amount of money could make almost anyone change their mind. One man who knows Kurt well is John Cena, who's back in WWE on a temporary but full-time basis. The Summer of Cena is well underway, and in an interview with Jeff Conway of Forbes, Cena discussed his return after over a year away. "I didn't really want to leave in the first place, but I was faced with a bold choice, and that bold choice is try your hand at another way of entertaining people through movies and television." Cena added that taking that risk meant he couldn't compete, as the insurance companies bound to the movie and TV production wouldn't let him, which he called very fair terms. Speaking about the Roman Reigns match and what'll happen if he wins, Cena explained, "Never say never about the WWE. I had a month to myself, and here I am back in the ring. So maybe if I get another month to catch my breath, I'll hopefully make another visit back. I'm going to have to defend that championship that I win from Roman somehow." Despite his limited schedule, Cena has plans to be a record-breaking 17-time world champion. And with Ric Flair now gone from the company, perhaps the company's efforts to distance themselves from the Nature Boy will result in history being made at Allegiant Stadium. Now, on his Broken Skull sessions, Steve Austin has hosted plenty of guests, including Charles Wright earlier this year. The former Godfather appeared back in May and discussed his legendary career from working as Papa Shango to the Godfather character getting complaints by the Parents Television Council. Speaking more recently on the Such Good Shoot podcast, Wright said how the interview should have happened far earlier, but WWE were hesitant to have him speak. "I'm like, can I smoke on the show?" Austin says, "No, we can't get away with that. We can talk about it. He tried to get me on the show a long time ago, but they thought I was a little bit too controversial." Wright had plenty to say when the episode finally aired, including saying that Vince McMahon would have kept the character going had he not received so many complaints. WWE infamously parodied the PTC with the Right to Censor, a group that Godfather joined before they disbanded in 2001, and perhaps the pimping superstar would still be steaming up the Ho train had fewer complaints been made about his iconic character. More from AEW Homecoming, which saw TNT champion Miro retain his title against Lee Johnson, but the celebrations for the Bulgarian started long before the match. On Twitter, Miro made the announcement yesterday that he was pre-celebrating his win by arranging an early screening of the Suicide Squad for the AEW locker room. This isn't the first time Miro's done a private screening, as he did the same in April, allowing his AEW family to watch Mortal Kombat. The Suicide Squad reaches cinemas in the US tomorrow and stars 16-time WWE World Champion John Cena, but thanks to the Redeemer, some AEW talent got to see that film a bit early. Last year, WWE decided to split up the IIconics for seemingly no reason, and both Billie Kay and Peyton Royce were released in April 2021. Now, more is coming out as Royce, now known as Cassie Lee, spoke to Insight this week and feels like she's to blame for the IIconics breakup. Lee explained that she wanted to push herself and see what she was capable of in what she sadly said was possibly the worst decision she's ever made. At the time, the former tag team champions were split because Vince McMahon reportedly saw Royce as a huge potential singles star, but she was never pushed like one on screen. Recent trademarks have hinted that the pair will now be known as the Inspiration and plan to join a promotion as a team when they move past their ongoing visa issues, but which promotion that will be remains to be seen. And we're ending with Nick Gage, who recently battled Chris Jericho in a no-rules match on Dynamite in a match that was too extreme for Domino's Pizza. The match was bloody to say the least, so it should come as no surprise that AEW's Tony Khan was watching very closely. Appearing on X-Pac's podcast, Gage revealed what Khan told him after he got backstage, saying, "I looked that man dead in the eyes. I said, 'Man, you got something awesome going here. Thank you for fucking making me feel at home here.' And I was just fired up." And he said, "Thank you. What an awesome match." Gage's style may not be to everyone's taste, and his criminal past continues to be a talking point for the likes of Jim Cornette, who's called Gage a bank-addicted drug robber, but last week, Tony Khan clearly appreciated how much the Deathmatch legend did on AEW TV. We have some news to report as beautiful Bobby Eaton unfortunately passed away at the age of 62. Bobby's sister broke the news saying, "I never wanted to have to post this, but my little brother, beautiful Bobby Eaton, passed away last night. When I find out all the details, I will post them. Bobby was the kindest, loving person you would ever meet. I loved him so much and going to miss him. Please say a prayer for my niece Taryn. She found him, and she just lost her mom a little over a month ago." Considered to be one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time, Bobby Eaton was part of the legendary Midnight Express tag team in the National Wrestling Alliance and World Championship Wrestling. Aside from his numerous tag team championships, Bobby enjoyed some success as a singles competitor as well, as he briefly held the CWA World Heavyweight Championship in Memphis in 1980, along with a reign as the WCW World Television Champion in 1991. Slat Rock Wrestling would like to extend our condolences to the family, friends, and fans of Bobby Eaton at this tragic hour. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.